Hey everybody, Mrs. Bianchi. We're looking at number 2, and they want to know what is the volume of the solid figure. These are a little different than some of the ones we've been doing in class because this one, rather than having two figures that we're going to put together, it's really find the figure as though it didn't have the hole and then subtract out the hole. If we were going to press on, let's pretend there's no hole there. I'm just going to cover that up. If we were going to figure out the volume of this, we would do length times width times height. What could we use for the length? To really just make a commitment. Doesn't matter which one you call the length. So let's call this one the length. Let's call this the width and this the height. When we substitute the numbers into the formula, first write the formula. Make sure you have that on your piece of paper. We'll write everything as an improper fraction. Let's put this as 6 over 1. For the width, we're going to rename that as 3 halves. 2 times 1 is 2 plus the 1 is 3, so that's 3 halves. And for the height, we're going to use 6, and we'll write that as 6 over 1. Look for any kind of reducing opportunities. I see that we have one. How about we use the one right here? Divide by 2 and get 1. Divide by 2 and get 3. The only thing left you really need to do is multiply 3 times 6, and if you divide that by 1, you'll get the same value. So that will be how many cubic inches you have, as though you didn't have a hole in the thing. But remember, we have a hole in the thing. So let's pull that away and think about the hole. So this is the hole, right? It's a 2 by 2 by something. Now, we know that this line here is 2, and we know that this line here is 2. How far back does the thing go? Well, if this is 1.5, this line right here, doesn't that mean that this line also has to be 1.5? This line here is 1.5. So we'll use 1.5 as that dimension. Let's write that down so we know that we're deciding it's 1.5 inches. All right, and now we're going to apply these numbers to this red formula that I have written here. Volume equals, and let's make a decision which is going to be the length, which is going to be the width, and which is going to be the height. So how about we call this the length, let's call this the width, and let's call this the height. So the length is 2. We'll write that as 2 over 1. The width is 1.5. Let's write that as 3 halves. That's its improper fraction equivalent. And the height is 2. We'll write it as 2 over 1. All right, take advantage of the fact that we have some pre-reducing opportunities. We can reduce here, divide by 2 and get 1, divide by 2 and get 1. All right, so next, go ahead and multiply 1 times 3 times 2. And if you divide that by the denominator, which is going to be 1, you'll get the same value. So that's how many cubic inches that this hole is, or what we're calling the cutout. Now, the next thing you have to do is you have to subtract, not add like we have in the past, but subtract because that's not part of the volume. So take this number and subtract this number from it, and then you'll get your answer.